In the last video, we went over what a hero story is and how Jacob fits that. And we also went through his first part of the journey. In this video, we will continue that all the way to the end of the hero story and what we can learn from it as artists and as people in general. If you haven't watched that first part yet, I suggest you do so because you won't know what we're talking about here. The link will be in the description and a card will pop up. Anyways, thanks, and let's begin. In 2011, J. Cole would drop Cold World, the sideline story, where we see the two sides of J. Cole fight each other. He gets more emotional and open, but at the same time, this is where he gets the most commercial, which will disappoint a hero of his, and ironically, please another. With songs like Workout and Mr. Nice Watch, we see J. Cole more materialistic than ever. The most commercial song on there disappoints Nas, as he sees it as a waste of Cole's potential, and Kanye loves the song since he was the one being sampled, and Kanye is more open to that commercial shit. This will be one of the dark points in Cole's journey, and another enemy or challenge that he has to face. One of the main challenges that Cole will face in this journey is himself. He will have issues with the world, and he will question it. He will grapple with the sins of man and the faults and problems man and women can have, especially in relation with each other. He will be frustrated with how men and women cheat, mistreat, and lie to each other. But all of these questions and frustrations will always come back to him. In Sideline Story, he begins to show this, and later on in Born Sinner, which he releases 2 years later, he doubles down on this further. With songs like Land of the Snakes, Power Trip, Runaway, She Knows, and Rich Niggas, Cole raps about fucking different bitches, having money, power, and much more, but at the same time expresses regret about infidelity and how he can be selfish sometimes. He expresses hate towards men that do horrible things to women and frustration towards men like his dad who abandoned their family. At the same time, Cole becomes cognizant of the fact that he too might become like these men, or that maybe he already is. With all his actions where he's hurt other people, Cole realizes he is slowly becoming like these men who he hates. Cole is now facing his greatest demon, more and more, which is him. He grapples with his morality, immorality, anger, worldly desires, and which side he should take. Should he continue down the path of debauchery and worldly greed and continue hurting others, or should he repent and become a better person? He would also face another disappointment, which is the disappointment of one of his greatest inspirations, as he expresses in Let Nas Down. Cole was on a power trip. He was the king of the world and doing well. He's gotten everything he wanted, and he's one of the hottest artists in the game, yet he isn't fully happy. He slayed the demon of creating a career in the game, but he isn't done yet. He's going through steps 7, 8, and 9. Cole is approaching the innermost cave, and he defeated certain monsters, which again are the challenges of becoming a famous rapper, but now he is facing other ordeals, and he must face one final set of monsters and inconveniences before he finally, fully finishes the hero's story. Some of these demons he will begin putting to rest in 2014 Forest Hill Drives, which he will release a year later in 2014. In this album, J. Cole gets even more honest and starts spitting some more wisdom that he usually would in his other albums. And it seems like he's coming to peace with some of his challenges and issues with the world and himself, and as a result, become a generally better person. In Forest Hills Drives, J. Cole recedes back into himself and his past and goes back the furthest he's ever gone. In the past, he would talk about college exploits and gloat and brag about it, with the occasional wise words here and there when his conscience would kick in. In this album though, J. Cole goes back to his high school days and really speaks honestly, bearing all his insecurities, ambitions, and the everyday things his teenage self went through with very little braggadocio. Songs like Tell of Two Cities, Adolescence, and Wet Dreams show all of this and more. Cole goes into this project really reflecting and ruminating on things. It was also around this time that Cole started inching away from the fast life. J. Cole had reportedly gone back to his hometown and bought his old house, showing someone who craves his old humble beginnings and who's becoming disenfranchised with Hollywood life. J. Cole has passed his challenges, and this album helps with some of that. Nas would write a song in response to Let Nas Down, telling him he still supported him and that he didn't let him down. Simultaneously, Cole is starting to find peace with himself, and he is picking his side. He picks to accept a humbler life and doesn't want to chase materialistic and vapid things anymore. Cole even begins to critique the superficial subculture in hip-hop in songs like Get Off My Dick. In No Role Models, Cole begins turning back on the fast bitches he used to crave all the time, probably realizing how superficial they all can be, and regrets not being old enough for more traditional, wholesome women like Nia Long, Erykah Badu, and Left Eye. Then we have the pinnacle of all of this, Love Yours. In Love Yours, Cole's whole point is that you should love your life. Love what you have and be more appreciative and not greedy. The hook that states that there is no such thing as a life that's better than yours is really stating that you shouldn't fall for the upward climb and the rat race. Cole spent his whole life doing this, and he says he came a long way, but he went the wrong way. There's always something that you want more. It doesn't matter how much money you get, how bad the bitch is that you just fucked, or how nice the watch you wear is. There's always more, and it will never be enough to satisfy your greed. It's like King Midas, who was so greedy he wished everything he touched would turn to gold. And it did, but he ended up turning his own daughter to gold, food to gold, and he regretted it. Greed is a parasite that will never be satisfied, and you will always crave more. Cole even says, with respect to the poor, that it was better when he was broke, because what's the point of having money if you ain't even happy with it? And he also states how there is beauty in the struggle and ugliness in success, an ironic truth that feels like it was pulled out of some Greek tragic play. This is the culmination and the climax to all that has been building up in Cole's career so far. Cole left his day-to-day in Fayetteville, and he's chased a rap career all this time, going through ups and downs, but reaching success only to find that it didn't make him happy, and that his journey still has more to teach him. He's now going through steps 8, 9, 10, and 11 of the hero's journey. He's now facing his final demons and reaping the reward. He has faced himself, his insecurities, his desires, and learned to calm them, so that he doesn't do any more harm in the world. In this record, Cole doesn't really rap about fucking some other guy's girlfriend or being debauched. Sure, he talks about sex and women and all that, but it's not from an asshole perspective or a toxic king perspective like Our Lovable Future, but from someone reflecting on the world as it really is and making commentary on it, and deciding to no longer partake in it. J. Cole has begun defeating his demons, and he has seized his reward, which is wisdom, and discovered himself, which is what this journey was essentially all about to begin with. Cole begins to go back home to return with the elixir, and he begins to share it on his next two albums, For Your Eyes Only and KOD. In For Your Eyes Only, J. Cole comes back home and brings the elixir with him, the lessons he has learned and the freedom he has gained. He comes back to give these treasures to others. This album is more hopeful, calm, soothing, and inspirational than any of his previous works. This album is meant for a daughter of a dead friend after all, so the braggadocio would be kept to a low. The album is meant to criticize a lot of the hyper-masculine and toxic culture of violence that exists in the black community. It's meant to be a ray of hope, light, and direction for those who are enraptured in a culture of brutality, vengeance, greed, and foolishness. J. Cole reflects on the things that matter as well to show an alternative, and he expresses the great feelings of such things, like on the song She's Mine Part 2, where he talks about the joy of having a daughter. Change, which is one of his best songs, beautifully encapsulates this message with the vibe of the song and the hook stating that the only change can only come from inside and nowhere else, not from material things, but within your own soul. In Neighbors, Cole talks about leaving the fame and all the other bullshit of the Hollywood life. He talks and hangs out with his friends in a normal and humble way, and the driveway isn't filled with expensive cars, just things to go from point A to point B. Also, let's remember this is the time that J. Cole started riding a bike everywhere. He speaks to the child of the dead father and states how their father was a great man, a real nigga. Not because he sold dope or tote guns, but because he loved her, his child, and he did his best to take care of her. J. Cole has discovered his elixir, and he's pouring it out like he can't run out, and that's because it can't. He's found the light, and he's sharing it. What's the saying? A candle does not lose its flames when it lights another candle. Same concept here. J. Cole has become Yoda, or at the very least a wise Luke Skywalker at the end of the third Star Wars movie in the first trilogy. He is ready to go out and teach what he's discovered and continue sharing his elixir. In KOD, J. Cole continues to do so. J. Cole focuses on the allure of drugs and the extravagance the industry offers, especially when it comes to kids. He looks at the hedonistic culture of mainstream hip-hop today and how a lot of younger rappers choose to chase materialistic things, and he reflects on a time when he chased the same things. Instead of judging, Cole shows empathy and takes on a mentor's role. He begins to talk to the youth and tells them that they do not need to fall to the peer pressure, especially since it won't bring them happiness. It'll only bring them doom, gloom, and misery in the end. If you don't die, you'll be left with regret, shame, and depression. Depression and bitterness that can set in at a very young age, since most of these rappers aren't that old to begin with. Depression and bitterness that comes when your name is no longer famous and people don't check for you or show you the love you once got. Those meaningless Instagram likes stop coming, people stop booking you, and you fall to the wayside, forgotten, and left to live the rest of your life in disappointment, unless if you learn to move past it. Unfortunately, many don't. He literally sits down with Lil Pump, who's the epitome of this culture, with all the stupidity, hedonism, materialism, and carelessness. He does this after Pump had repeatedly trolled him, and instead of belittling him, trolling back, or cursing him out, he takes the role of sensei like a wise man would and does his best to school the youngin', which unfortunately, as we've seen, has gone unheeded. Many of our youth have died in the past few years. Juice WRLD, Frejo, Lil Peep, XXXTentacion, King Von, Pop Smoke, and many more have all fallen to violence or drug overdose or drug-related deaths. Cole, through KOD, tries to reach out and teach the kids better. In songs like ATM, The Cutoff, Friends, and 1985, The Fall Off, Cole goes over these topics and gives these pieces of wisdom in hopes that they'll listen. KOD is J. Cole at full sage mode. He once started out as foolish, but he has grown wise. What's the saying? Every man must start ignorant if they are to become wise. Cole shows this. He has grown over the past decade from a foolhardy, selfish youth with potential to a fully grown man who has realized his potential not only career-wise, but as a human being. He now uses his power for the most part to be a positive influence and aid others, something that we all can learn from. Cole has finished his hero's journey, this hero's story. He has gone through resurrection and revived as somebody new, and brought back home the elixir for all to partake in, like any good person would do. Cole is now back in the ordinary world, forever changed and awaiting his next journey and story to begin, and for his next transformation to begin. His story isn't over and it will continue on, as we can always improve and change. When you look at this story and this structure, understand that it's woven into the fabric of existence itself. Understand that it is part of you, as you too are a part of this fabric, inseparable from it. And as others are part of this fabric, you are part of them too, and they are part of you as well. That is why when you all go through transformations, you improve not only for yourself, but for others as well. This is what Cole shows in him being a big brother-like figure for these young rappers nowadays. Look at your life and reflect upon it. What transformation are you in right now? What level of the hero story are you in right now? What do you have to conquer? What do you have to learn? Have you answered the call? I'm not saying put on your cape like Frodo and run out the door, although if you have to, then you're a lucky bastard. But I'm saying to look at your life, see the challenges you go through, see the pain you go through, and ask, is this a call to adventure? Is this a challenge, an enemy that I must defeat? Is this something that will teach me to be a better human being and help others? Think and reflect, and truth and joy will always be a close friend. I hope you all get through your journey and your hero story and gain those things. Godspeed. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more content and analyses just like this. Be safe, loving, and prosperous. Peace.